The most wonderful time of the year is here. We have a jam-packed NFL slate to get to today. MLB baseball is popping. NASCAR is still here. The playoffs are getting down to it. And we also have hockey, the NBA, right on the cusp of it as well. I'm Seth Woolcock. This is the DFS Tailgate, where we bring you the good vibes and the good DFS and NFL betting plays. I'm joined today by Conor Coughlin, our DFS expert here at In Between Media. Connor, how are we feeling today heading into week 6? A glorious Sunday of football awaits us.
Pumped. Hopefully I do a little bit better than I did last weekend. Vegas was, there's a reason that town is built the way it is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They make a living on people like you and I, the amateur to low professional gamblers coming out there, and they make the muck on us.
Yeah, I got incredibly. I had a really good parlay. Like, we got up, we were in the sports book at 6 a.m. watching the London game, and I took the Giants. And in the first leg of my parlay, and my buddy was kind of laughing at me, and I was like, no, watch this. Sure as shit, they hit. But then we proceed to watch the Lions put up a nothing burger, which was another part, and then the Seahawks going down. I'm just sitting there going, you got to be kidding me, man. I thought I got the hard part out of the way first thing this morning.
That's how it goes here. Whether you're playing DFS, whether you're gambling, whatever you're doing, there is the pros, there's the cons to it. But we're going to break it down today, man. And we have a great slate coming up. I'm really excited about this 1 o'clock slate for once. Bengals Saints, that's an interesting one. Are the Giants for real? Lamar Jackson's going to tell us today. San Francisco, they're going into Atlanta. And then Steelers down in Acrisure Stadium, they're hosting the Buccaneers. So really cool 1 o'clock slate. Of course, that 4 o'clock slate highlighted by the AFC divisional round rematch here between the Bills and the Chiefs. Connor, just kind of looking at this from a pure fan point of view, gambling, DFS, like is there one game that pops off to you? Because I'm kind of really like keying in on that Ravens-Giants game for some reason.
Yeah, I kind of like that one too. In the first, to your point, the 1 o'clock part of the slate is awesome. I'm pretty pumped about most of it. Obviously, I love watching the Vikes play. No secret there. But really, the game I'm most looking forward to is this afternoon with the Bills and the Chiefs. The Chiefs, being a secondary fan of the Chiefs on top of that, but I just think it's going to be a good game and should be fun to watch. So.
Yeah, a lot of storylines in that afternoon slate as well. Is Geno Smith the real deal? Can he defend against the Arizona Cardinals coming into Seattle? I'm really excited to see that. And then what's going on there in Los Angeles? It seems like it's just falling apart. Cam Akers out today. Looks like he's on the trading block after some disagreements with Sean McVay's coaching philosophy. So much to get to. Let's go ahead and just start with some overall against the spread picks, over-under picks. And I want to start with the Kansas City Buffalo Bills one. And this is one, the over is set at 54. So they know that this is going to be high scoring, but I do not think that's a high enough line in my opinion. Last time these teams played each other, 10 total touchdowns scored, Connor. So I'm taking the over on this one. I've put together a nice little parlay that I'm going to go through that pays out 560 plus 567. So we're hoping to hit. It's a 3-legger. We're downsizing a little bit this week to try to hit this. I'm taking the over there, and I'm also taking the over in that Cardinals-Seattle game. We've seen both these offenses be explosive. We've seen some poor defenses on both sides of the ball as well. How do you feel about those overs hitting, Connor?
I feel more confident about the Cards-Hawks game going over. I can see an avenue where this Bills Chiefs game, though I think there's going to be some scoring. I can see where the Bills are able to control the Chiefs a little bit, and maybe it doesn't get that high scoring. But I don't know. I mean, I'm optimistic that that's not the case, but I can definitely see a path that happens.
I guess why I'm so keen in on that overhitting is the Bills secondary is banged up right now. We obviously know Micah Hyde's out for the season. I think Jordan Poyer is going to give it a go today, but he is not 100% if he is going to be out there. So he's not the normal ball hawking safety he is. And then both corners for them also banged up. So I guess that's why I'm a little more eager on that one than you. And then the other game here that I'm highlighting in this parlay is I'm taking the Ravens 5.5-point favorites against the Giants. And the Giants have been great all season. Saquon has been a beast. Daniel Jones has been very serviceable for fantasy managers. However, when you look at the teams they face and the quarterbacks they faced, I don't think this Giants defense is as good as we think it is. They faced Ryan Tannehill, Justin Fields, Baker Mayfield, just a bunch of scrubs at this point. Aaron Rodgers in London was the best quarterback they've faced. So I think even without Rashad Bateman, I think the Ravens are going to put up a lot of points. And I think Lamar Jackson's going to go out there and put on a clinic against these Giants. And, we're going to face it at the end of the day that maybe the Giants aren't as good as we think they are, as their record tells us, Connor.
Yeah, and I think something else to think about too is like Saquon hasn't had a real like true test, I don't think, yet this season. Like I want to believe that Saquon is the Saquon of old, and he's just gonna be able to run over whoever. But honestly, I think this will be a good kind of test to see where he truly is. This is not that the Ravens are the best defense in the world by any means, but I do think it's going to be the best test that we've seen on Saquon so far. So. I definitely like the Ravens side of the ball here, and I personally am going to be probably stacking up quite a bit of Lamar and Andrews.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. The Ravens secondary is definitely kind of their weak point there. Their upfront play is definitely a little bit better. So I agree with you there, man. What props do you have for us today, Connor? Definitely a kind of a fun day for props out there as well. When you look at the markets, I feel like we're kind of starting to correct ourselves a little bit. Unders have been hitting a lot more this year than I think people thought initially. So how are you feeling attacking this, and where are you attacking this exactly?
So I kind of did just a 5 leg deal like I normally do, a bunch of head to heads, player props. One of the ones that stuck out to me is Kirk Cousins versus Brady. Giving Cousins 25.5 yards. I really like Cousins and Jefferson today a lot. So I see, and though I think Brady's going to have a big day and probably put up some yards, I think this is going to be one of those Cousins games that, even potentially for DFS, he may be the guy. I see a lot of yards coming from him, hopefully today. And then pairing that up, I got Jefferson versus Jamar Chase on receiving yards. They are giving Jamar Chase 12.5, but I'm definitely taking Jefferson here. The guy puts up 100 yards in the first half almost every week. So, I mean.
Yeah. I'm with you, Connor. The Kirk Cousins, he was my start of the week over in the fantasy football end of things. I mean, the Miami secondary right now, no Byron Jones, Xavier Howard. If he's out there, he's not going to be at 100%. And this is a top 2 matchup for fantasy quarterbacks. So I think Kirk Cousins is going to go down there. I think he's going to sling the pill a little bit around, and Justin Jefferson should have a big day. And honestly, Jamar Chase has been kind of underwhelming this season as far as a yardage total. He had 16 targets there in week 1, but it hasn't been pretty outside of then if you've been betting on him, if you've been putting him in your DK lineup. So completely agree with that. I'm full send on your Minnesota Vikings today, Connor.
Well, there's some good news. Then I got 3 more parts like we were talking about. I've got Mark Andrews over Chris Godwin, total receptions. They are giving Godwin 1.5, but Brady spreads the ball out quite a bit. And I think that I really think with God, why am I drawing a blank? The receiver for the Ravens being out. I think Andrews is going to be kind of the prime target there. So I think there's going to be a lot of volume going through him. I like him to have a big day.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with it. I mean, the Steelers secondary is god awful. I mean, we got to bring Joe Hayden back, get him on the phone. I mean, I'll call Ike Taylor up at this point if we have to. William Gay, get some of the old vets back. It has been a very poor secondary for the Steelers. But, I think there's a chance the Tampa Bay Buccaneers get up by 3 scores pretty early up, and then maybe it's just a lot of Leonard Fournette, Rachaad White rest of the game. So I can see that happening. And, on the Ravens side of the ball, Lamar's got to pass to someone. I love Devin Duvernay this week. He's my start of the week as far as wide receivers go. So if you want to throw out Mark Andrews there, I have no problem with that, Connor.
For sure. No, and I like Duvernay as well. Next one I've got is Ramandre Stevenson, rushing yards over Nick Chubb. And I just look at the volume that Stevenson has gotten when he's gotten the, the more the bell cow status. And they are giving him 17.5 extra yards versus Chubb. So I love Chubb, and Chubb tears it up almost every week. But I think in this matchup, this situation, I think I lean Stevenson here, especially with the edge.
Yeah, it's a matchup they're playing against each other. So New England, Cleveland, we expect this to be a ground and pound game, realistically. Jacoby Brissett, not a high volume passer. We've talked about it pretty much all season long. And as far as the other side, we got Bailey Zappi back there. So Ramondre Stevenson, Damian Harris has been rolled out, so he is going to get the lion's share of the work there. Chubb will probably be splitting a little more with Kareem Hunt this week. I think Hunt's kind of a sneaky play as well. The factor here, I think that's going to determine it, is how much is Pierre Strong going to get from this run game? Is he going to get involved? If he doesn't, it's Ramondre's backfield, and I have no problem with that. I'm just not plugged into the Patriots enough to know how much run Strong is going to get, but I'm fine with this one as well, Connor. I think you're playing safe here. That's a little bit of a risky one. Doubting Nick Chubb there takes one big gainer, but Ramandre, man, he looked like a Derrick Henry light last week.
Yeah, no, and I mean, a lot of what I've read and a lot of the kind of industry hype buzz that I'm hearing is that Stevenson is going to be pretty much handling the majority, if not all, the workload. So I'm pretty confident in that one. And then the last one I got, and this one I could see this going either way, and I think the odds makers are seeing it the same way. I've got Barkley over Dalvin Cook rushing yards. They're only giving Barkley 2.5. So I mean, essentially we're calling that a pick 'em as well. And the only reason I could see Cook ending up kind of edging out Barkley here is if they use Cook the way they did last week. I mean, Cook was just heavily involved. There seemed to be a focus getting him the rock and getting him going a little bit. So if they continue that trend, I just objectively like Cook's matchup a little bit better than Barkley, but statistically Barkley's been the go-to. So I'm going to stay with Barkley, but I'm a little sketchy on that one.
Yeah, that one's one I could see going either way just because of game script, thinking what could happen there against the Dolphins. If the Vikings and Jay Jetta and Kirk Cousins get up a little bit, I could see the rocket and kind of run it in the second half there. But at the end of the day, too, Alexander Madison's been more involved week after week. So definitely some concerns there if you are a Dalvin Cook manager betting on him as well. So that one's a toss-up to me. That one's a very close one. If the Giants do have any chance of winning this game, though, it's going to be through the ground running Saquon Barkley. Well, I mean, we've seen around the Wildcat this year be sensational as well. So that'll be an exciting one to watch nonetheless, Connor.
For sure. So yeah, that rounds out my 5.
All right. Well, we just talked about betting. Let's go ahead and jump into some DFS talk here with King of the Crop.
Better not miss.
We better not miss. That's what we're going to do for you. We're going to have some great DFS plays for you. And let's start at quarterback, Connor. Quarterback has been a position where I felt like recently we've paid down a lot. We've had a lot of hidden gems that we found this year, whether that's been the Danny Dimes, the Carson Wentz's of the world. We found these kind of gutter plays that no one else is playing. But is this a week we spend up? Josh Allen going against the Bills, Connor, 8,200. 8,100 Lamar Jackson. We already talked about our love for him this week against that unproven Giants secondary. And then Patty Mahomes is up there too, 8,000. So these three top options for once, maybe they'll be chalky, but they're very enticing. Are you enticed by them or are you paying down this week, Connor?
A little bit of both. I'm definitely going to have plenty of Josh Allen. It's hard to argue a guy that's averaging 24 plus fantasy points a week. I mean, and I don't see that being any different going into KC. So I really do like Josh Allen. I think he's worth every dollar there. Like I said, I do like Lamar Jackson. I think for the price, if I've really got to make a decision at the top, I think I'll stay Josh Allen. But like I said, I will have some stacks of Lamar and Andrews.
Okay. Looking down the board a little more, I mean, you just have quarterbacks that, in my opinion, I'm underwhelmed to play. Kyler Murray, 7,300. Joe Burrow, 6,700. Like, I'm not attacking any of these guys. Matthew Stafford's still priced at 6,200 for whatever God reason. The only player that I'm looking at playing down a little bit, I like Kirk Cousins at 6,000. I like Geno Smith coming in at 5,700 as well, Connor. Are you interested in any of those players, or are there other quarterbacks you're paying down for?
I've got no, I definitely have both of them in some lineups. I actually probably am a little overweight on Geno Smith, and I like the Geno Smith Tyler Lockett. I like a little bit of Disley too at tight end just to get some savings. Not that he's really going to be touchdown dependent, Disley, but at $3,100, I don't mind putting that together. And then you know how I am. I'd like to throw a dart at the bottom. I may gamble a little bit on Kenny Pickett just based on the pass volume that we've already seen. And I think they're going to let him show what he's got or what he doesn't have. So I don't hate that at 5,200, and the receivers that you would stack up with him are actually pretty reasonable as well.
Okay. Yeah, Gino is the one pivot that I have in a lot of lineups this week. I mean, it's just been so consistent this year. Other than week 2, he's been absolutely paying off for the price you've been paying him. I mean, we've been seeing him 5,500 in that 4,000 range a lot too. So now you are paying a little bit more for him this week, but I'm certainly okay with that. Yeah, I think that about covers it for the quarterbacks, Connor. Let's head over to running backs. CMC, he tops the board this week. No Jonathan Taylor here once again in week 6. 8,300 for him. Nick Chubb, he's been a monster on the ground. No receiving work, but 8,200 definitely enticing as well. Saquon, our old friend, 7,700. He's been fun to play if you've had him in DK at all this year. He's won me some money, Connor. So how do you feel about the top of this running back core?
I'm probably skipping McCaffrey and Chubb. And really, I'm not going to have, honestly, not going to have a ton of Barkley. I start playing some of these running backs at like Aaron Jones. I'll have some of him, Alvin Kamara. But really, I'm paying down almost in every single lineup for running back, just because there's receivers that I want to get, and that's where I'm going to spend my money this week.
Okay, so let's talk about some of those running back options maybe paying down for. Ramandre Stevenson, 6,000. I think he's going to crush today. Jeff Wilson Jr. has been so solid. Anyone you put behind that San Francisco running back or offensive line, they do great. So I like him at 6,200 against Atlanta. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's a touchdown machine. It's a little sketchy. It could be somewhat volatile, but I do expect him to get more passing work this week and maybe pay off that 6,300 price tag, Connor. Do you like any of these mid-tier running back options, or any ones I haven't mentioned either?
Stevenson, of course, I already touched on him. I do think that Edwards-Helaire may be a good piece for that Kansas City Buffalo game. I think that a lot of people are going to be wanting to play like Mahomes, Kelsey, or Allen and Diggs, even Allen and Davis, some of the more expensive things. So I think Helaire could be kind of a differentiator if you want to get in that game. I'm going to have a fair amount of Deion Jackson with Jonathan Taylor out. I liked the opportunities they were giving him, and I think that's a hell of a price on him. And then I think Bo was kind of touting him quite a bit last week, but Benjamin down there, 4,600.
Yes.
Yes. I love that matchup. I think $4,600 seems almost criminal. So.
Yeah, this is really kind of big week for replacement running backs, Connor. We kind of touched on Stevenson, Benjamin, Jackson down there as well. Darrell Henderson Jr., 5,100 for him. I think he's an intriguing option. No Cam Akers this week. We talked about him. And then what about these rookie running backs? Obviously, Ken Walker Jr., he's going to get the lion's share of this work against the Cardinals. Can he catch the ball? I think that is the answer. I don't know. So I'm a little hesitant to throw him in a lot of DK lineups this week just because I don't know what the usage is through the air. Will we see more Travis Homer? Will we see more DJ Dallas? Those are the questions I have there. But then Breece Hall staring us in the face again, Connor, 5,800 after the week he just had. It's very surprising, and I think you get a lot of dump-offs here if the Jets are trailing against the Packers. How do you feel about these rookies?
Yeah, I'm probably more hot on Hall, and I do have some shares of him. I mean, it's kind of now contrary to what I was saying the first few weeks, talking about the Jets backfield, and we're seeing what it's going to be. So I'm pretty comfortable playing Hall. On Walker, I think I'm going to wait a week and just kind of see how that develops a little bit. At 5,400, it's kind of a tough ask just based on some of the other guys right in that price range that I want to play. That I guess maybe I feel are a little just a little bit safer. So yeah, I'm probably going to be out on Walker this week, and I'll probably eat my words. But that's probably the one lower tier rookie that I'm going to be fading, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I don't want to say I'm necessarily fading him. I just don't trust it in the passing game. We didn't really see it at Michigan State. He has a pass-catching skill set, but it hasn't been seen the last couple of years. So unless you go back to his early days at Wake Forest, Walker really hasn't shown that. So until he does, I think he is also a do-not roster for me in DraftKings this week. Let's go ahead and
something else to add on him, though, too, just before we move into wide receiver, is if you look at the volume that Geno Smith is giving towards Lockett and Metcalf, there isn't a whole lot of meat left on the bone for Walker. I mean, that's another thing definitely that I was looking at too, is it's just very pass heavy to Lockett and Metcalf. And even to my point, Disley's involved too, getting plenty of targets. So Walker, I think Walker is going to be a good piece, but I just don't see him having the upside of some of these other guys.
I think the crazy part about this too is like when Russell Wilson was there in Seattle, they had such low volume passing so many of the times. And now Geno's here, but Geno's being efficient. He's completing 75% of his passes, one of the highest quarterback ratings in the league. So I think they're going to continue to trust Geno Smith, the old West Virginia Mountaineer there. So Connor, let's go ahead and move forward to wide receivers. We talked about running backs, and it seems like we're paying down a little bit more this week than in past weeks. How do we feel about Cooper Kupp? 9,700 once again. I mean, we always say there's never you can never fade Cooper Kupp. There's never a price too high for Cooper Kupp, but he's questionable this week. He's banged up a little bit. Matthew Stafford hasn't been great, but we don't know what the run game is. It's against Carolina, which are they really going to need to throw that much against the Panthers, who just lost Matt Rule this week? I'm not sure. I think I personally prefer Justin Jefferson, 8,900, Stephon Diggs, 8,400. That's where I'm spending up at wide receiver. Do you feel differently?
Not at all. And like the problem is, yeah, Cup in a vacuum, right, is gonna score a ton of points. He does every week, So that's not a question. The question becomes like, do I really think that he's $1,300 more valuable than Stephon Diggs in a matchup that I think is going to be higher scoring? Like, no,
No,
I just
not at
don't.
all.
I don't think. I think what rostering Cooper Cup does to your lineup, it's just not worth it. He's not going to score enough points to offset the kind of lower tier stuff that you're going to have to do to get him in a lineup.
Yeah. Yep. I'm completely there with you. So I think we're both kind of high on Stephon Diggs, purely matchup based at this point. He's been sensational all season long. And then Justin Jefferson, we kind of touched on him in our betting as well, that I think Justin Jefferson's going to go out, have a big day against this Miami defense that no Byron Jones, Xavier Howard banged up. And they haven't really had a great test as of recent of the quarterback's position. So I'm there with you. This next group of wide receivers, it kind of feels junky to me. I don't like Jamar Chase this week really that much. Deebo Samuel against Atlanta. I'm just not sure how much they'll lean on him there. Tyreek Hill with Skylar Thompson, just way overpriced at 7,500. I can't do it. I can't put my money there. I know he's had big games with backup quarterbacks in the past. Marquise Brown, still too high for me, 7,200. Like, there's so many of these like next tier guys, Michael Pittman, Mike Evans, I really don't want much to do with. Do you like this second tier at all before we get down to those Seattle wide receivers?
Not really. The only thing that I would say about Tyreek Hill is what he does after the catch. I'm with you. I feel like this is one of those situations where Tyreek Hill could make us all eat our words, because I think a lot of people are looking at the same way that you and I both are, where it's with Skylar Thompson, you're just kind of, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know a good way to articulate it. I could just see situations where Tyreek is just getting these short passes and just going nuts, running wild all over the Vikings too. So that's the only one that I may dabble with, but the rest of them, no. I just like Jamar Chase, to your point. We said it a couple times, been really underwhelming. I think 7,200 for Brown is too high. And then in the Colts receivers, I like the pay down options there. Like I'm not going to pay up for Pittman.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as you. The next receiver on my board that I have in a lot of lines, very attractive for me, is Gabe Davis, 6,500. And it's going to be chalky. It's going to be absolutely chalky. But I don't mind throwing out Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, triple stack there. I'm willing to do it. And, I think the thing about Gabe Davis, still some people might be scared. They might have a down game. He had 2 back-to-back weeks with under 10 PPR points. However, he comes into this one healthy. And I think that's the thing. We didn't see him healthy after week 1 for that stretch of games. Comes out. I mean, last week he broke the slate, Connor. So how do you feel about Gabe Davis this week? Are you intrigued to maybe play that double stack as well?
Yep. I'm definitely in on that. No, to your point. And I think Gabe Davis being healthy, I think that does change things a little bit. I think that's a reasonable price. We know that he gets targets. We know that he can put up points. And I really think that the Buffalo side of this game is going to be super high scoring. And we know that even if Buffalo gets up, they don't stop. They just keep running the score up. And I think they'd like nothing more than to put about a 20 point win over the Chiefs into play here.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Looking at this 5,000 wide receiver range, 5,000 to 6,000, I'm just not impressed. It's all just floor. And at this point in the season, if you're playing these types of contests, you want ceiling. And I don't see it out of players like Deontay Johnson this week against Tampa. I don't see it this week, Christian Kirk against Indy. Adam Thielen, if you want to go 5,900, I'm okay with. Tyler Lockett, I think you like him at 5,600. Like those are the only two in this 5,000 range at all that I'm interested in. Are you any different there?
No, it's definitely Lockett. And then Thielen, and this is just because I sit and watch every minute of every Vikings game. Like the way that they're using him and getting him involved, it's not for lack of targets. It's just where they're using him. I mean, he's not getting the looks in the red zone. And with Thielen, that's where we're going to get fantasy points out of him, is getting some touchdowns on the board. It just does not seem like he's one of the options when they get down the red zone. So I'm probably going to be off Thielen. I've been kind of riding him every week, hoping it was going to be the one week where he blows up, and maybe this is the week, but I can't keep rostering him when he's just really not putting up points.
Okay. Well, moving forward down the list here, a couple wide receiver sleepers that I really like for your DK lineups this week, or FanDuel if you're playing over there as well. Devin Duvernay, 4,700, Giants, and people might be scared off because they see that little red 2 next to the Giants defense that they've been good against opposing wide receivers. But we talked about it. They've played against Baker Mayfield, Justin Fields, Ryan Tannehill. No real gunslingers over there. And I think with Bateman out, we saw the usage. We saw the usage for Devin Duvernay. He was lining up as a running back at times last week. He was 1 or 2 steps away from having an even bigger game as well this past week. Just went through his hands. So I think there's so much upside with Devin Duvernay at 4,700. That is a complete and utter steal, Connor.
100% agree. Like I'm going to hammer that at 4,700. Love that play. And then right there in the same neighborhood, I like going down a little bit. I like Alec Pierce. I just like what I'm seeing out of him. That's my pay down option for that Indy offense. So that's probably the other guy in the 4,000s that I'm kind of focusing in on.
I'm also looking, and I can't believe I'm saying this, guys, but Marquise Valdes-Scantling, MVS, 4,500.
Can't catch a football, man.
Listen, I thought the same thing. I've always been an MVS doubter, but he's looked really good these last couple weeks for the Chiefs, and I think he's going to get it done here. He needs a touchdown coming his way. He's going to have some positive TD regression. I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of this day, we're looking at MVS with 1 or 2 touchdowns. I have a couple anytime TDs on him out there and a couple parlays as well. So I just think this is a good spot for him. He's looked as good, if not better, than Juju Smith-Schuster, and he's playing just as much as well. So
is that saying anything though?
Well, for me, it's been a real check in the mirror, honestly, because I've been a Juju fan, being a Steelers kid my whole life, and then MVS, I've always been a doubter, but he's come to play here. And he's getting more and more targets each week, 15 fantasy points for him last week. And that was against Las Vegas. And I think this matchup here against a banged-up Bills secondary is just as good. So, I got to tout my guy MVS this week. He was my short thing sleeper as well over on the fantasy side.
That sure is drying up, dude. No, actually, joking aside, in this game, probably the only objection I have to playing MVS is that I just think that people are going to play him because of the price, and people want a piece of this game. $4,500, you're right. He's getting the volume. He puts a couple of catches together, breaks a couple tackles, whatever, and we got somebody who could potentially break the slate today. But I think for the reasons I mentioned, I think he's going to be high owned, and the fact that I just still don't think he catches footballs very well, I'm probably going to be out on him.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move forward to tight end here, Connor. And this is one, are you paying up? Because there have been 2 great tight ends this season, and it's our guy Travis Kelce coming in at 7,800, and then Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch at 7,000 here. So these are the 2 options on the platter that look really good. Can you pay up for them? That's the question here, Connor.
I think you can pay up for him, but I think the Mark Andrews Lamar stack is a much more doable thing. I think if you're getting pieces of the Chiefs Bills game, I think to play an appropriate stack there, if you don't want to play naked Kelce, I think that gets tricky because you're paying up at Mahomes, you're paying essentially for a high tier wide receiver in Travis Kelce. Mm-hmm. It pretty much means that you're not going to be able to get people like Diggs in. You're not going to be able to play like Jefferson. Obviously in a different game, but so I don't know. The Travis Kelce stack is tough. Travis Kelce solo, I don't mind, but it's expensive.
Okay. I completely understand that. Moving down a little bit in the tight ends, it is George Kittle, who's the third highest priced tight end this week. He hasn't done much this season. Almost had over double-digit fantasy points last week. Had the fumble, comes back down in the 7 range, but he does have a top 3 matchup here against Atlanta. So people are very intrigued to play George Kittle. I have him in a lot of fantasy lineups, so I'm hoping he can come through. But Zach Ertz, even a little bit cheaper, 4,900 for Ertz. And Ertz, this is the last week. I think we can be really excited playing Zach Ertz, guys. No DeAndre Hopkins once again. The red zone target share for Zach Ertz is astronomical. Astronomical. When I looked at the number, I could not believe it. So I think against Seattle and what I'm anticipating is a high-scoring game, I like it a lot. How do you feel about George Kittle, Zach Ertz? Because outside of those guys, it's pretty barren, Connor.
Yeah, I'm with you on Kittle. I have him in a lot of season long, and I do have him in a couple of my DFS lineups too. I think he was right there. So I'm hopeful this is the week that we see Kittle like just emerge. Zach Ertz, yeah, your commentary on the red zone, 100%. I think $4,900 for Zach Ertz, who has probably not necessarily Kelsey Andrews upside, but he's got serious upside, maybe wide receiver 2 level upside. As far as DFS is concerned, I think $4,900 is a pretty good deal on him. And then going down a little bit, what do you think about Njoku? I mean, the usage, the price, do we think he continues to see that, or?
The usage is fine. I'm all right with it. I'm not shying away from David Njoku, but I don't really have him in a lot of lines because I think he's gonna be well rostered this week because I think there's gonna be people don't want to pay for these top 5. If I'm looking outside the top 5, he's a fine option, especially in this game that I expect to be a little more ground and pound. But I expect Cleveland to also have Harrison Bryant out on the field a little bit more in this one too. See the 12-man personnel, the 2 tight end sets a little bit more. So I'm okay with it. I would rather pay down $3,400 for Dawson Knox, and Knox has been atrocious, but I love the matchup here. He's got to get in the end zone sometime this year.
Doesn't that seem like mispricing? Like, doesn't that seem like he should be higher in such a like high
Yes.
score? Like I don't. That it seems weird. It's like somebody knows something I don't know because I saw that price and that it jumped off the page to me. That seems just like a.
It
I don't
seems
know.
like a smash, and I feel like he will be well rostered as well. I think Dawson Knox heading into this high scoring game, but I mean touchdowns are going to be scored, so I want a piece of that equity there. And then you kind of touched on it too, Will Dissly, 3,100. I mean, dude's been tight, a little touchdown dependent heading into this one, but I like what the Cardinals have been. They're the second best matchup for tight ends, so I'm all right with it. Do you feel any which way about Will Dissly?
Yeah, Dissly. I've been playing Dissly almost every week. I mean, like I said, he is touchdown dependent. You just said it too, but $3,100 in just really a kind of a sweet matchup that I expect to be high scoring and shoot out a little bit. I really like that. 3,100 seems too cheap.
Are there any other tight ends you're looking at? Because outside of the couple that we highlighted, I am not touching any of these guys with a 10-foot pole this week, Connor.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think I'll dabble with Irv Smith again. I continue to like what I see out of it, just the overall like receiving prowess. Like, yeah, he's had a few key drops, but the routes he runs, he's able to get himself open. And this is another game where I just think Cousins. I think this is a Cousins kind of week. And if that's the case, I think Irv Smith is almost becoming the second look for Cousins in that offense. So I do kind of like Irv Smith, and 3,200 isn't a bad price. And for whatever reason, people don't roster him that often. So
yeah, that's a decent pivot play there as well. Tight end discussion is great. Let's go ahead and move forward and close out the show today with some defensive talk. And this is a year that if you've been playing some of these sneaky defenses, the Jacksonville Jaguars continue to come in for us each and every week. San Francisco 49ers, they've been great every week as well, but you're paying up a little bit more for them this week, 3,700. How do you feel about this? Rams, they come in highest ranked at 4,100. Can you pay up for them or the San Francisco 49ers, or do you have to pay down once again this week, Connor?
I I think it's a pay down. And I'm not probably going to get super cute. I'm going to be I'll be probably the most expensive defense I'll do is 2,800 in the Saints. But I think there is some value in doing 4,100 for the Rams. I don't hate it. It's just it's prohibitive in what I want to do with the rest of my roster. So I just and you know my take on defense. I'm not for DFS purposes. I just don't think defense matters.
Yeah, I'm honestly paying down this week, and like, I know it sounds bad, but the Panthers are bare minimum this week, 2,400, and it's against the Rams. Matthew Stafford is a pick six machine. Every time you want to bet that Matthew Stafford's going to throw a pick or a pick six, a lot of the time it happens this year. So I'm completely okay with that. No Cam Akers for them. So I don't think I don't know. I just don't think it's a good offense out in Los Angeles. And I think the Carolina Panthers, their defense has been okay. It hasn't been great, but I think they're going to be fired up this week. Matt Rule's gone. A lot of people, CMC's on the trade block. DJ Moore's on the trade block. This team is being counted out. Their back's against the wall. And I think that's a defense I don't mind attacking here at 2,400. I don't know how many other people are going to go deep diving with me for that. So I'm
everyone.
You think everyone's going to be on that as well?
Oh, 100%. And I'll tell you what, it's exactly what you just said. That offense is not good. Matt Stafford is throws picks left and right. And so I'm with you. That is the majority of my defensive plays this week is Carolina. It's fine. But the only reason probably honestly not to just go bare minimum with Carolina this week would be if you were trying to pivot away from what I perceive to be the chalkiest defense of the week. And that's kind of why I threw out that Saints D, because Burrow has not been anything to write home about this year either. And the Saints are actually a pretty decent defense, $400 more. That I think I can find in my roster. I can't find much more. I mean, I'm not leaving a whole lot on the table this week. So
yeah, I agree with you. So, I'm going with the chalk, I guess, here down at the bottom, 2,400 to Carolina Panthers. Connor is saying if you want to pay up a little more, guys, think about 2,800 for the Saints. And then, of course, it might be a little chalky at the top two, but the Rams, 4,100. And then San Francisco 49ers, always a great option as well in there. Connor, any final notes for the listeners, for the viewers out there today as we head into another exciting week of NFL football, DFS, betting, everything that comes with that?
Yeah, don't gamble in Las Vegas.
You heard it here first, folks. Some of the magic words from Conor Coughlin, lifestyle advice from him. Be careful out there in Vegas, my friends. If you guys are bored later on today, if you want some entertainment, we're going to be live with our NASCAR gambling live stream throughout the Las Vegas race. So if you need a little wheeling action, we got you over here at IBT. Connor, we thank you for your time today, our friend. Thanks you, Dave, Albert, Tim, everyone else tuning in today over on the YouTube. Please, if it's your first time listening to the show, please like and subscribe. Appreciate it, and it goes a long way for us here over at IBT. So have a great week 6, everyone. We'll see you back next week. Take care. Thank you.